The whispers began as harmless speculation, the kind of chatter royal watchers trade over coffee, or in hushed tones online. But in recent weeks, those wise #posts have swelled into a deafening roar of public outrage, a roar aimed squarely at Prince Harry. Once hailed as the spirited son of the late Princess Diana, the boy who charmed the world with his cheeky grin and heartfelt speeches, Harry is now facing accusations so explosive they've shaken even his most loyal supporters. That he has deliberately dismantled his mother's legacy out of jealousy over Meghan Markle's position in the spotlight. For decades, Diana's name was synonymous with compassion. Her work with AIDS patients, landmine victims, and forgotten communities around the globe became the gold standard for humanitarian outreach. The charitable e-trust and initiatives launched in her memory after her tragic passing were meant to be untouchable, a beacon of hope that transcended royal politics. Yet, sources within royal charity circles now #allege that Harry, in the shadow of his marriage, has undermined and, in some cases, outright blocked projects tied to Diana's name, simply because he believed Meghan's own philanthropic ventures deserved the primary stage. At first, it seemed like a coincidence. One by one, events honoring Diana were postponed or restructured. Funding streams quietly dried up. Speeches that should have highlighted Diana #'s groundbreaking work instead pivoted to Meghan's personal causes. To the public, these shifts felt subtle, even excusable. But to insiders, the pattern was unmistakable. We were told to reframe everything in a more #modern narrative, one former staffer of a Diana-related foundation revealed. Modern, in this case, meant focusing on Meghan's brand, Meghan's projects, and Meghan's image, with Harry fiercely guarding that priority. What makes this revelation so incendiary is the emotional history at play. Diana's charity work wasn't just royal duty, it was personal. Her sons were expected to protect it, expand it, and ensure her values lived on for Generation S. For years, William and Harry seemed united in this mission. But after Harry's whirlwind romance with Meghan and their subsequent departure from royal life, cracks began to show. Reports suggest that Harry saw #Ilime#'s continued high-profile involvement with Diana's causes as a threat, not to his position as Diana's son, but to Meghan's narrative as a global humanitarian leader. The jealousy, according to palace insiders, was not about mon or titles but about legacy ownership. #Meghan's supporters within Harry's circle allegedly pushed the idea that her work should be seen as the natural evolution of Diana's compassion, that the torch had been passed not to both brothers equally, but to Meghan through Harry. This framing, while flattering to Meghan, infuriated charity veterans who felt Diana's story was being rewritten to fit a Hollywood-style narrative. The public's patience snapped after a leaked internal memo suggested that Harry had personally declined invitations to several Diana memorial events unless Meghan was given a central speaking role. When organizers refused, the events mysteriously lost funding or were abruptly scaled down. The #ICS were disastrous. Commentators accused Harry of holding his mother's memory hostage to boost Meghan's profile, and the backlash was swift. Social media flooded with side-by-side images of Diana comforting a child in a war zone, and Meghan posing at a luxury summit, accompanied by captions dripping with scorn. Defenders of Harry argue that the prince has endured years of being overshadowed, first by his brother and now by the media's fixation #on Meghan, and that his actions are born out of a protective instinct, not malice. Wyatt, even though sympathetic to his plight, struggle to reconcile that narrative with the growing pile of evidence suggesting intentional sabotage of projects that should have been sacred. "It's one thing to protect your wife's career," a royal historian commented, "but quite another to dismantle your mother's to do it." Behind closed doors, this controversy is reigning what little remains of Harry's ties to the royal family. William, sources claim, is livid. Friends say the future king views Harry's maneuvering as not only a betrayal of the #our mother's memory, but a public humiliation for the entire family. Palace aides have been instructed to quietly distance William's initiatives from Harry's to avoid further damage. Meanwhile, senior #R figures in the charity sector, some of whom worked directly with Diana, are reportedly considering going #Blick with documents and correspondence that detail Harry's interventions. If those documents emerge, they could paint a damning picture of a prince willing to gamble his mother's entire legacy on #the altar of marital #loyalty. The stakes are enormous. Once the public owes his faith in a charitable mission, rebuilding that trust can take years, even decades. Already, some donors are pulling out, unwilling to be caught in what one described as a tug-of-war between a ghost and a celebrity. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of this scandal is how far it has pulled Harry from the boy the world once knew. There was a time when his every move seemed guided by the desire to make his mother proud. Now, the cues tie on being asked in headlines, on talk shows, in online forums, is chilling in its simplicity. Would Diana even recognize the man her son has become? Whether this storm will pass or intensify depends largely on Harry himself. A public acknowledgement of mistakes, a genuine recommitment to his mother's causes, could soften the fury. But so far, there's been only silence from Mon #Tessito, where Harry and Meghan remain entrenched, surrounded by advisors who, critics say, have every incentive to keep the focus firmly on Meghan's projects. The longer that silence lasts, the louder the outrage will grow, and the more certain it becomes that Diana's legacy, once untouchable, may have been for